Hello everybody, it's Cosmo and welcome back to my channel. Finally, we have the long-awaited D&D sessions. Now I know what you're thinking. Girl, what took you so long to release these? Part of the reason why I didn't want to release these sessions was solely on my own fault of missing recording a session, audio issues while recording a session, or somehow losing a complete recording. And I felt a little bit embarrassed that I couldn't do this properly. So while you're watching this, if it skips around, or there seems like there's plot holes, or somebody doesn't have audio, that is purely my own fault, and I do apologize for that. But we do recaps at the beginning of each session, so hopefully those will be helpful. And if you have any questions, be sure to put them down in the comments of the video, because we will answer them to the best of our abilities. This was my first time playing D&D, and even though the campaign had been going on for about a year, I really wasn't confident in my skills. And they've become super close and personal to me, so it was kind of hard for me to release them. Literally the only thing standing in my way was filming this stupid video that I wanted to film. Basically, all I wanted to tell you guys is what happened in the 3 or 4 sessions that we had before we started recording. These sessions involved me and 4 of my friends, but Kylie, Midyir, Lynn, Dark, yeah, and occasionally 5 when Ghosty joined us. You have me playing Zinbella, Lynn as Velith, Dark as Tydrus /Z, but you'll see that later, and Kylie as Ella, and then Midyir as our DM, which thank you so much, Midyir, for taking on a group of newbies and Kylie and allowing us to learn D&D. This was such a fun experience, and it's still ongoing. We have a lot to unpack here. Session 1 opens up with us free-falling into the labyrinth. Everyone in the party tries to remember how they got here, but we all receive visions of a face that looks familiar, but we can't quite place it. In the labyrinth, we had to go through several different trials to get through to the next part of the labyrinth, and at one point, we were even mugged by rats, which really sucked. In the beginning of the labyrinth, we met a character called Zifnab, who demanded all of our coin, and we all gave up, I think all of our coin, but like 7 gold it might have been. So we were all very broke at this point now. So upon exiting, we found that it was a cave. The party finds themselves in a blue, red, and purple-hued forest. While traveling through the forest, we met Steve the orc. And he's the one who tells us a little bit more information about Zifnab, who apparently instructed him to give us the advice that the labyrinth was alive. Steve had said, the labyrinth is alive, it'll make you think the easy way is hard and the hard way is easy, but we should take the path of least resistance. Which, while further traveling, we do find a sign that in fact says the path of least resistance. At the sign, we end up all seeing different figures and chasing after them. Ella sees Grimshack. I, Zinbella, saw her mother. Tydrus saw a mob boss, and Velith saw Karun. Now these names mean nothing to you right now, but they will mean something to you later. While we continue along the paths, after we collect ourselves, we fight some skeletons, solve a puzzle that helps us get through the labyrinth. Now, all of this forest and stuff is happening inside this labyrinth that we are trying to get out of, that we were sent here by who we presume are the people that we are seeing in our visions. Well, that was session 2. As the group walks through the door, arrows are sent flying towards them. They find themselves outside a military camp where lots of warriors and barricades are placed before them. A large, scary woman with a huge spear and a bow covered in magical runes steps forward and asks if the group are here as friend or foe. The military, now allies of the group, are made up largely of humans with a mix of appearances. They all have runes on their skin and their weapons. So the runes that are carved onto the bodies and the weapons of these people are supposed to give them enhanced abilities. They end up giving us a task so that we can earn our food and rest for the night. So we get assigned a task to help out with some caravans. So then we start to head west. And while we're heading, we keep hearing like rustling and movement in the woods, and Velith, being a little bit trigger happy, firebolts some of the brush, and that's when we discover there were goblins lurking around in the brush. As the party continues on, we find the tracks for the caravans, where we see it has been ransacked by ogres and goblins. So we do our best to take care of all of that and salvage whatever we can from the caravans. After a warm meal and a good night's rest, the group finds themselves wandering the military camp, where they run into other victims of the labyrinth who were sent here by people. And the next, we find ourselves at the mouth of a cave, which the opening is a door. And when we enter the cave, there's a room with an altar of some kind, and there's a figure standing there who tells us that each member needs to air out their darkest secret or their darkest desire. So Zinbella confesses that her parents had been poisoning her for years, which is why she escaped from home. Ilaria, or Ella, confesses that she had grown up wary of humans because of her human father, who had left her elven mother when she was a child. But slowly, through meeting a human named Thorian, she began to trust humans again, until Grimshack took him from her. Tydrus confesses that his father earned a living by competing in an organized fighting ring, until the organization that he worked for ended up killing him. So Tydrus, wanting to seek his revenge, ended up working for the same organization and earned his way to the top through bloodshed. Finally, he was face to face with the man who had killed his father, but the man's son ended up taking the fatal hit. Velith confesses that Karun was a young tiefling that was staying with Velith and her family. One night, Velith awakes to see Karun standing over her with a sword aimed down at her bed, confessing that he is saving the world from the darkness within her. Her father rushes into her room and saves her, but Velith felt off ever since that day. A few days later, when she was getting bullied in town by a girl, she snaps and her vision goes completely red, and she ends up beating the girl pretty badly. Scared of what she had done, she had ran off into the forest to live far away from other people, and she blames Karun for the mishap. Then, finally, after these visions fade, the party awakes to find themselves back into reality out of the labyrinth. So session 4 is when we awake outside of the labyrinth. Finally, having escaped the labyrinth, immediately afterwards, they hear a commotion and run towards the source. They find a group of kobolds attacking 4 people there, and so the group does their best to help them and try to save all of the people that they can. After the fight, a half-elf was still alive, so Tydrus picked him up, dropped him on his head, and then loaded all of the things remaining back into the caravan. While they were fighting the kobolds, they noticed that one had run off with a bag gleaming with magic. While gathering the things, the group notices a little black box with a symbol on it that resembled fangs. So this was something very interesting. The group enters a town called Venrag, made up of some taverns, some stables, shops, some homes, and a couple guild halls. When they enter the town, a small human man greets them, briefly departs, and then returns with a man calling himself Galme. Galme offers the group work, tells him to meet him in the tavern to talk. He also takes the little black box that was on the caravan. The group stops at one of the caravan guilds and talks to a man there who happens to be the leader of the guild named Karn. They chat about Galme a bit, and Karn does not seem to like him very much. Karn also offers the group some work, and they say they think they'll have to think about it, because at this point we've been offered work from Karn and Galme, so I think the group just kind of needs to weigh which option they think is the best. The party then makes their way to the tavern that Galme had mentioned before, and while they're there, they meet with Galme and discuss the full terms of the work that he wants them to do. Galme offers them food and drink, all on the tab of his organization called the Fang. After discussing terms with Galme, the group heads back to the bar, where they get hilariously drunk. The 3 girls, Ella, Velith, and Zin, end up dancing and drinking a good portion of the night away, while Zin and Velith end up meeting a bard named Fade. Being very drunk, Velith and Zin tell Fade all of their adventures thus far, Maybe a bit too much information for him. While this is going on, Tydrus is going off on his own. He ends up putting on a disguise, so he appears to look like a Fang guard. While wearing this disguise, he goes door to door trying to see if he can find more information on Galme or the Fang, and he ends up actually running into Galme, where even though he tried his best to push Galme to confess some things, Galme completely dismissed him, telling him that the situation has already been handled and he doesn't need him. When Tydrus returns downstairs, he sees the mess of his fellow party members, brings them all waters except for Fade for some reason, and then carries them up to their rooms so they can get a good night's rest. I hope there is nothing that happened in Session 5, because Session 5 literally just says, "This time on We Play D&D," and that's it. I'm hoping that is the next recorded session. Thank you guys so much for watching this video of me just literally yapping, but I really wanted to provide some context to some things before you started watching the sessions, otherwise it's not going to make a lot of sense. It still might not make a lot of sense just because I'm not very good at explaining things, but hopefully this will give you guys a general idea of what's going on and introduce you to some of the characters. On the next session, you will get introduced to Jax, which is played by Ichiro's ghost, which if you're curious about any of the people I'm gaming with, all of their socials, mostly their Twitch, will be linked down below, so feel free to check out the description box to follow any of them. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this series, and just know that this is super close to my heart, and I was really nervous about releasing this, but I like to keep a promise. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. In Session 1, we... Bruh. What the fuck you doing out there? Lie down. Here as... Whose shitbox is that? Dude! Guys, I think they're stuck in the snow. Oh my god, he's actually stuck in the snow. Oh, some girl's running out to help. This is so unfortunate timing because I cannot continue recording with that noise in the background. Oh, and now I can't see anything. She's not even pressing on the gas. Alright, guys. I gotta go see if I can help these people. Okay. The moment I got up to help, they ended up getting out. So, that was stupid.